Welcome everyone who's joining. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon for those of you who are with us live or who are listening to this in the future on the Consumer Goods Forum website. So this is the Collaboration for Healthier Lives Employee Health and Wellbeing Conversation Series. This is the third episode in the series, so this will be the third time you're being with us for some of you. So thank you very much for your support on this really key topic. So just to get us started, what I would like to do is just to give you a quick high-level overview of what we're trying to achieve in the Coalition of Action on Healthier Lives, and then we'll deep dive into our framework of action on employees, and then putting that into action at Ahold Delhaize. So overarchingly at the Consumer Goods Forum, we work to help empower people to live healthier lives around the globe, and it really is a global ambition with very much local implementation. And we do that through three vehicles. One is obviously in stores and communities where all of our members operate. Through digital ecosystems, and this is really accelerated in particular over the last year, and of course with our own people and putting walking the talk and putting employees at the core of our agenda. The Coalition of Action is supported by a number of companies who've signed up to a charter of action and a commitment to really drive forward what we're trying to achieve to help people to live healthier lives around the globe, and you can see who those companies are here on the screen. So as I mentioned, we have these three axes where we really try to drive the movement, and today we're going to really zoom into the work of the Employee Health and Wellbeing Working Group. So what we've done is we've clustered our work into three areas. The first is health and safety, obviously with the global pandemic that we've all continue to live through. This was really one of the key objectives was to share learnings between the CGF member companies and beyond in times of COVID, and how we can really ensure that our own people were kept healthy and safe and continue as we navigate through this global pandemic. Workforce nutrition, we know that nutrition is a really key lever for health. So how can we do that, and how can we optimize that through the workplace? So we have a global alliance that we have formed with GAIN, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, on the four areas that you see here on the screen: food at work, nutrition education, health checks, and breastfeeding support. And the cluster that we're focusing in on today is well-being. So the working group have two axes of work that are live at the moment. One is looking at a framework of action. Is there something that we could implement across the CGF membership to really try and track progress of well-being, to see could we create KPIs and measures in this environment. And we also decided with the team that we wanted to create a conversation space where you are here today in the virtual world, where like-minded experts come together and share what we've learned in terms of well-being, what's working, what isn't, and all of the different elements that you need to drive across a business, organization, retailer, or manufacturer to really ensure that well-being is at the top of everyone's agenda. And the foundational piece of what we're trying to do is really accelerate the learning process and do that through our global learning mechanism, which is our virtual hub, which is an open source database. So we'd like to do today, as I said, this is the third of the series on our website. You can also get the insights from the January and February session. So we're deep diving today with Ahold Delhaize, but the learnings and outcomes of the other sessions are also available on our website. So Helen, I'm thrilled that you're our expert today. And we wanted to do three things, really was to deep dive into the global framework that Ahold Delhaize is implementing across the globe for their associates, to really leave all of you listening to this session with some tips and tools that I hope that you can bring forward into your own company, or it'll inspire you to think of other actions that you could potentially be doing. And we'd love to have questions. We want to hear from you and get your feedback. So please do join the conversation at the end of today's session. So obviously you can use the Q&A button. You can pop something in the chat. If you want to raise your hand, or I'll unmute your phone connection, just let me know. And if we don't get to any questions, obviously you can send me an email at hw@theconsumergoodsforum.com. So with that, I'll hand it over to To Hellen, we're really looking forward to all of your insights, and I know it's going to be a great presentation. So get thinking of all of your questions, and we'll have plenty of time at the end of Hellen's presentation to ask her all of those things that are on your mind. So Hellen, over to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Sharon. And I will share my screen here. I'm not very good at Zoom, so need to practice with that. There it is. All right, so thank you for the introduction and thank you for this opportunity today. I'm very pleased to share with you the journey of Ahold Delhaize in the field of well-being of our brand's associates. And a journey it is because our world is constantly changing and the way you're working is changing. The workforce is changing, so it's a learning opportunity. I hope that with this session I can bring something new to you. Should you have any questions afterwards, or maybe even tonight or tomorrow, feel free to reach out to me if you want to know anything more or more in detail about the topic. Sharon already said my name is Hellen de Leeuw. I work at Global Support Office of Ahold Delhaize as Director of Benefits. And before this, I worked in one of our brands, Albert Heijn in the Netherlands. And that also helps me a lot to also have the local brand view and the local, to understand the day-to-day business that our brands and our associates are in. So looking at the agenda of today, I would like to start telling you a little bit about who we are, a little bit about our strategic drivers and values, and I will explain also our people strategy, cultivating best talent. Then I will talk a little bit about our theory and frameworks of associate well-being, and then we'll jump into some well-being practices that we are doing across our brands. Of course, we need to talk about COVID-19, and I will tell you a little bit on how our brands have responded to keep our associates safe, and also what we did in the field of benefits there. I will touch upon measurement, also an interesting topic that we also discuss in our employee working group. And as Sharon just said at the end, we would really like to invite you to join in on the conversation. We have an interesting question that we would like your thoughts and idea about. And we hope to have enough time for a Q&A. So let's get started. So first, who are we? We are Ahold Delhaize, and we support actually a number of brands. So we are a global grocery retailer, and we have brands in Europe and the United States. And we also have a joint venture in Indonesia. We operate stores, brick and mortar, mega markets, supermarkets, but also mini markets. And we do also have some drug stores, some liquor stores, and also pharmacies among our brands. We also have quite a large and growing number of online activities. And one of example is, for example, bol.com, a brand in the Netherlands that has a focus on non-food. Recently, we acquired a new brand to our family, which is Fresh Direct. And it's an online grocer it's New York based. So that is the freshest news I can give you. If you look at some numbers, with our great local brands, we employ over 400,000 associates in 7,000 stores. And our stores serve weekly more than 54 million customers. And online, that will be over 20 million customer visits per week. So this is, when you think of it, where I get always really excited, because if you can imagine those numbers and the impact that we could have on all those people visiting our stores and all those associates towards their health. So our purpose helps us to answer the question, like, what difference are we going to make? Because millions of customers, they look at our brands for their daily needs, and also to see how they can live a healthier life. So our brands are really well positioned to make a positive difference in their well-being. And even if people wants and needs are very diverse in these areas, we can have an impact with these 3 items on each one of them. So eat well, it means like we want people to have access to a balanced and healthy diet, but also reliably sourced. Save time, everyone's busy, and anything we can do in this hectic world to make their life a little bit easier and makes things quicker and smoother, that will be a good thing. And the last item is live better. And live better, it means different things to different people. For example, for a lot of people, it can mean eating healthy, but it can also be about giving back to the community or better food for a budget. So whatever it means for customers and associates and our community, we are committed to make that happen with this purpose. So as I said, the world around us is changing fast, and also the consumer sentiment is changing. Behaviors are shifting from, for example, offline to online, but also the competition is evolving quickly. So this is our leading together framework, and it serves us actually to continue to deliver results also in changing circumstances. So it starts with our purpose. Well, I already explained that to you. And then below you see our values. The values are really the core of who we are and how we define our culture. They're courage, integrity, teamwork, care, and humor. And then our vision is that we create the leading local food shopping experience. And we focus on 4 growth drivers to enable us and to fulfill that purpose and achieve our vision. The first one is to drive omni-channel growth. So create a seamless, digitally enabled experience with a compelling value proposition across shopping and meal occasions. The second one is elevate healthy and sustainable. We provide inspiring, healthy and affordable food options, but also achieve our sustainability commitments. The third one, and that's the area that I really work in, is cultivate best talent. We need to attract, develop, and retain the best talent in this changing world, and we have an engaging associate experience where we drive high performance, inclusion, and growth. And the last growth driver is about strengthening our operational excellence. So we need to continue to save for our customer, to have competitive prices, but also leverage scale and use technology and data increasingly to be able to build the future. So if I talk about our values, and I want to zoom in a little bit here, because where our growth drivers give the direction of what we are driving, our values are really telling us on how we are doing that. And I would like to really highlight our value care, because that's a very important one. We care for our customers, we care for our colleagues and our communities. And care is really a value that we have strongly embedded in the DNA of our organizations and in our brands. And you will see this coming back throughout this story today in how we drive associate well-being at Ahold Delhaize. So cultivating best talent, that is our people strategy, and also embedded with our shared value care. So we drive this best talent strategy with actually 4 strategic priorities. We create the future of work. So how will our stores look like in the future, in our offices and distribution centers? There are so many developments going on, so we need to be able and prepared for that. And for these changes, we also have to make our workforce ready and build the right capabilities. We need to cultivate our talent. We have to constantly develop people to be in line with these changes in the world. And very important, we need to be able to also recruit talent and be able to retain good talent. And the 4th strategic priority is pivot our culture. Our brands are supporting associates in this new world, and we need our 5 shared values to guide this process. And we intensify our focus here on courage, care, and teamwork. Ensuring associates' safety and well-being are really an important part of the pivot of our culture strategic priority. And also in these challenging times, the dialogue about race and equity in our markets and organizations is really on the forefront. Our brands are really committed to create a diverse workforce and an inclusive culture. And you will see this also reflected in how we envision our associate journey. At Ahold Delhaize, we reflect the markets we serve, our voices are heard and valued, we find purpose in our work, have equitable access to opportunities, and can grow and contribute to our fullest. And that way we can enable everyone to eat well, save time, and live better. So before I go further into more about a well-being topic, I would like to share a little bit more about this diversity and inclusion ambition, because it's a very important one before you can even start talking about well-being. We are really steadfast in our commitment to advance diversity and ensure equity and inclusion for all. We believe it should be woven into our culture, and we guide how we can do that. And of course, each of our local brands have their own tailored D&I plans, but these initiatives here will supplement the work that's being done at local brand levels. So you can see in the first priority is about workforces. It's our ambition to have a workforce that is gender balanced at all levels and also reflective of the markets that we serve and in which our brand operates. We are keen on making progress on this by having balanced slates, so succession planning and pipeline development with a focus on accelerating underrepresented groups. We are committed to conduct pay parity studies at all of our brands, and we are developing an inclusive leadership curriculum that helps our leaders also to understand the impact of inclusiveness in their teams. And we will also embark on this education with our associates to create awareness and to further embed the inclusion at all levels. We work for this topic together with partners. They are lead, new, diversity best practices and catalysts. What you also see on this slide is next to our ambition, which is the same as our employee journey, as you can see. But you also see that we have an inclusive workplace index. And we're very proud to say that our associates have indicated in our annual associate engagement survey that they're quite happy with the way inclusion is. But there's still a long way to go, and we still want to continue driving this strongly. So now to the topic of associate well-being, and it's actually funny that I say associate well-being because everything touches upon associate well-being. So really to frame it like this is a bit weird. But we have really made a study first to understand what we envision as associate well-being. And before we did that, we talked with some dedicated scientists of the University of Rotterdam, and they collaborated also with us and helped us also make this definition. Well-being is a person's overall quality of life, including physical, mental, social, spiritual, and aspirational elements. And there's also elements that contribute to it, but there's 10 components that show that well-being is more than just being healthy. And if you see those components, and they are on the right side under the tree, and I'm not going to read them all aloud because you can probably read them well. But if you read them and you can really understand them, you also realize that this is something that we all strive for actually every day, to get satisfaction in life and even happiness. And as an employer, it's also important to understand the impact that we can have on those 10 elements, because it stretches further than the workplace. So we really need to understand where can we put focus and where can we really help our associates to reach those 10 elements of well-being. So why does it matter? And I hope for this audience, probably this question may be obsolete, but I'm still giving it a try, because I think it's important to reconfirm also why it is important. First of all, at Ahold Delhaize, it's very simple. We care. This is in our DNA. And also we have embedded in our growth drivers that we elevate healthy and sustainable. So everywhere that we operate, customers and communities look to our brands for healthier living. And of course, we also do this commitment to our associates because they are actually the ambassadors of healthy living in our brands. And last but not least, we have a business to run. And the case for associate well-being is clear. Associates that feel well are less absent, have more energy for their job, so productivity is high. There can be a cost impact. If you look at cost for healthcare, that is like raising everywhere, health insurance, but also short and long-term disability, cost of recruitment, they can all be impacted and positively impacted if you spend more time towards happy and healthy associates. We can actually confirm from our own research that there's a strong correlation between associate health engagements and the likelihood that associates will recommend shopping at our brands to families and friends. And especially that last factor is a very good predictor of store sales. So there is a high correlation between happy and healthy associates and store performance. And the last one is, if you show care for your associates and you make sure they feel well and are supported in their health, other people will want to work for you. So care is a very strong element of our employer value proposition. And you may see that sometimes in the way we express ourselves also to the external world by using hashtag #DareToCare. So now I will talk a little bit more about my own world, actually the world of benefits. And our brand benefits are a great opportunity to demonstrate how they bring the value care to life for their associates. And of course, benefits are very locally driven. They reflect country local practices, social security, legislation, and also our brands look, of course, at the market before determining what they will provide to whom. But with this benefits framework, we also give guidance on how our brands embed care into their benefits offering. So the benefits framework consists of 3 main goals when offering benefits, so each with their own guiding principles. First one is healthy life, second one work-life effectiveness, and the third one is financial security. So in the healthy life pillar, of course, we want to improve the health and well-being of our associates. So we give them access to affordable healthcare. In some countries, it's managed through governments, but in a lot of countries also we provide health benefits. And but next to that, we also facilitate to develop and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And I will bring back some examples of that later. Work-life effectiveness is really about how we support associates to achieve success both at work and at home. It's about, let's say, for example, providing leave policies, flexibility in working, work time, work location, and where we can help to organize the life of our associates more effectively. Also, facilities at work can contribute to that to make life more convenient. And also, we support our associates in case of life-changing event with giving them the time and the flexibility to manage things at home. The third one is financial security. It's about easing our associates' financial concerns. And of course, we cannot manage the finances of our associates, of each of our associates, but we can provide some level of financial security so we can ease their concerns. And the first one is very simple one, but it's an important one, and we pay in time and we pay accurately. Something that people will need to be able to count on. We safeguard income in case of life-changing events. Think about if in case you get an injury and you cannot work in the stores anymore, or an illness. So we have a lot of programs in place to make sure that people are taken care of. And even, if an associate dies, we take care of their families. Also providing future financial security is one of them. It's not only about retirement plans, because we also are looking at ways how we can better support our associates to be prepared for the future and do their own financial planning. And the fourth one is we offer financial advantages. I mean, we are in each of the countries that we operate in, we have large scale, so we can use the large scale to for example, negotiate associate discount programs with third parties, but also our brands have their own associate discount programs. So this is a way where we can contribute a little bit to save some money for our associates. So in addition to our associate benefits framework, we also zoom in on where we can really put focus in the area of well-being. So you will notice very much that there is overlap, but that's okay, because we understand that both benefits, benefits really contribute to the well-being of the associates. So for associate well-being, we have chosen 4 areas of focus. And each of our brands may have their own packages, but these ones are really highlighted and that we really work on together. The first one is inspiring and inviting to make healthier lifestyle choices by offering well-being programs and initiatives. The second one is supporting to have balance in work and personal life by offering flexible working opportunities. The third one is making healthy food easily accessible to me. And the last one is encouraging to bring purpose in life by connecting and contributing to the communities that we serve. So before I share some examples of those 4 elements, I would like to tell you a bit about how we work together. And we have our brand networks, our HR networks for doing this. And one of the things that I, for example, do at our global support office, I facilitate these networks so brands can really reach out to each other, share best practices, and help each other where needed. So even though there's a lot of differences between brands, because we have a lot of difference in language, culture, and also legislation, there is many similarities. So we work really as a network together to share best practices. And also when there's challenges on a certain area, we share this with each other and we try to help each other. Another example is one brand is piloting, for example, a program on store scheduling, and then other brands are learning from that pilot and be able to apply it to their own needs or to their own needs. Our benefits and well-being network come together, I think, each 2 months, and it's in an online meeting, but in between we also work in a collaboration platform. So in between we can reach out to each other and share interesting articles or examples or reach out for questions. So after having shared all of this, I want to show you some of the approaches that our brands have in place to support the health and well-being of their associates. And each brand may have their own unique packages, as I said, but still there are some overarching themes and programs that I would like to share. I will mention some examples, and I have plenty more, but there's a limited amount of time. So I will also share a little bit about some opportunities we still see across the globe, and also the challenges that we run into. So if you remember, one of the first areas of focus areas of well-being is healthier lifestyle. And what we see actually in all of our brands are that they're doing in some way health screenings. That can be overall body measurements, vision and hearing tests. It is blood and urine tests to test, for example, cholesterol levels or insulin levels. But there's also brands that do lung capacity tests and even mammograms. It also depends what you get, from your government program sometimes. And what you also see much more, and well, especially today, that there's more online opportunities and more focus also on mental health. So online questionnaires before you send in, for example, your blood and your urine to test, where mental well-being is also a great part of those questions. Another thing that we see in many forms is physical exercise and activities. A lot of brands, they offer discounts for gyms that are now unfortunately not open, but then they organize online activities. But also sports tournaments are very popular, and yoga courses, also a massage on location is very popular. Mental health counseling, this is really something that is non-negotiable. Our brands have mental health counseling in place for all of our associates, be it for anxiety matters, stress, family matters, or financial struggles. They need to have a to-go person to support them. And sometimes it's like an official EAP program, but there's also brands that have just a 24/7 open line that is, and then a psychologist will answer your questions and will support you. We see a lot of differences in use, by the way, in this mental health counseling, because there's lots of cultural differences in countries. And we will still continue to encourage and communicate that it's there to use, but not in each country. It's so normal to call someone outside of your family, outside of your friends, to talk about your challenges. Another thing that we see a lot is health workshops, for example, about better sleeping, stress-free living, about resilience, and many more about also living your life with diabetes, for example. And that's also done by really focused coaching programs. So, for example, weight loss or stop smoking are things that we have pretty much in every one of our brands. Something that is increasingly popular are health challenges. Being organized by the brands, we had stores that compete with each other to bike, walk, or run across the world. Also recently in our own support office at GSO, we had 6 weeks of challenges to eat healthier, to exercise, and better living. Personally, I participated, but I was just like far from winning because it was really a challenge. But it was nice to have a competition and also a way to, in a social way, to reach out and inspire each other on these topics. And you see, this is something that we can really leverage from each other in our brands. And you see it, like we steal with pride all these ideas to do the health challenges. Healthy lifestyle platforms is actually more like a tool where everything comes together. It's a good way to connect all the dots, you know, like having your well-being information where you can store all your program information, but also to have healthy recipes and to have your health challenges managed through a platform. If we look at opportunities in this area, they really lay into more targeted approach. For example, if you look at people that stock shelves in a supermarket or that work in a distribution center, a lot of work there is physical. So they may not be interested in doing much more physical exercise, but it may be more interesting for them to be inspired about healthy eating. On the other hand, if you look in stores and you see people sitting behind a cash register, or even, you know, see me sitting here already for a year behind the same desk, it's much more important to focus on exercise. So I think really we can do better in targeted approach, and even to personalize it. For example, if I've done a health screening and it appears that I'm a little bit overweight, how great would it be that I immediately get information about a coaching session to join a weight loss program. So things like that is where we can do a little bit better in personalizing. What also is, and this is really a challenge in retail, and it's not only in the health and well-being area, but communication to our stores and distribution centers is a challenge, because people are, you know, working in the stores. They do not have access to a computer, or they're not allowed, you know, to use their phones all the time. So to reach out and get them informed about programs or challenges or anything is really difficult. The time that they have lunch, sometimes they're only, a little time in the break rooms. And they use that, to talk with colleagues. And it's very difficult to get them also engaged in the programs, or to make them at least aware of the programs. On this slide, you see an example of a healthy at work challenge that was done in one of our brands at Giant. And it's very interesting because what they did is they had these posters, and they put them up in the stores. And they have a QR code that people could scan with their phones. And then that would bring them immediately to the website with the information. And they had a great participation. I think they had 18,000 plus participants on the Healthy at Work challenge. So that was really a success. So, and now all other brands are learning from that as well. So the second focus area is healthy food. And we know that also from our group. Healthy meals and healthy snacks at the workplace are really important. We are increasingly looking at that within our brands. I think there's also still a long way to go. A lot of locations, they have vending machines. So to have healthy vending machines is really an opportunity. Free fruit. Most of our brands, they offer free fruit, especially when we were still back in the office. A lot of locations you could just get free fruit in your break. Also, I mentioned associate discount programs, and we would like the baskets of our associates to be a little bit healthier. So we're also looking at ways to make healthy food discounts more prominent for our associates. And sometimes it can be done within the associate discount programs. We're actually piloting that, and also to see if the baskets would really get healthier by doing that. Other brands are sometimes using vouchers for associates to try out healthy products. What we also see is a lot of webinars and workshops by nutritionists. In some brands, we have our own team of nutritionists. That's really nice. And sometimes we do that with external people. The difficulty there is, again, that for people that just work their shift, they're not very likely to go and join these kind of workshop outside of their working hours. So it's sometimes difficult to get engaged people again. I see a lot of opportunities here to align healthy food topic better with what we do for our customers. Sometimes it's really different streams, HR and marketing and loyalty. We should talk more with each other and make sure that associates are really targeted as a group for these customer initiatives, and to really make sure that they are there and they are maybe in the front line of getting all the information, and so they can also act as ambassadors in the store. So it's a win-win situation. So the third pillar is about balancing work and personal life. And well, I don't have to tell you that it's quite challenging, and it's quite a hot topic these days that people work increasingly from home. And so we provide flexible work schemes and remote working opportunities. We already started doing that even before COVID. In a lot of brands, we already have had a lot of things in place, but other brands were still exploring that. But it's an unstoppable movement, and I think we need to really step up also further with that. But we do not only focus on office associates here, but because we also recognize that associates in stores and distribution centers have sometimes difficulties in combining work and personal life. So people that prefer to work in a flexible way will have a much better balance when they know timely when they need to work. And even better, they would like to have a say in their schedules. So they can upfront know when, for example, to attend that musical that their daughter is having at school. And it's not easy to create schedules that fits everyone's needs. So it's really difficult. But we are really testing in some of our brands. We are testing out apps. So we need technology really to help us there. It's something that we're still in an early phase with, but I think it will be increasingly important And brands are really looking at each other, like, what are your experiences here? Also more flexible opportunities to take leave. We are also exploring more people to take sabbatical leaves, and we are also expanding family leave options for when your child is born, whether it be for the mom or the dad or the partner. So providing more balance and to prevent people to get too much on their plate. And I think we all know that, you know, balancing work and private personal life with remote working is sometimes challenging because the lines are really blurring from home and work. So we also increasingly offer yoga, meditation, and also e-coaching solutions for managers, for example, to really support their teams in this area, but also for associates to be able to keep their balance. So opportunities, they're still there, and they're really much focused now on the office associates. Really, we need to continue focusing on health and well-being by working remotely. Social cohesion is a challenge. Onboarding and networking, so especially for people that are new to the organization, it's a challenge, and ergonomics and healthy lifestyle, of course. And I put there a little poster on what we sent out at the beginning of the pandemic for people to remind them how they should install their workplace at home. So the last one is bringing purpose. And our brands do this really by offering opportunities for associate volunteering and other initiatives to bring healthier eating and hunger relief to the community. So examples are organized or company-supported volunteering activities. For example, some brands organize annual volunteering days or impact days that they do collectively for a certain a non-profit organization. But we have also brands that offer some hours of paid time off that you can use to volunteer, or they make a donation to a non-profit organization of your choice if you have done some minimal hours of volunteering for them. On the example that you see there, you see the 12 Acts of Kindness program. It's from our Romanian colleagues at Mega Image. They organize each month different activities, and there's a lot of enthusiasm and participation of the associates. Challenges today, well, it will not surprise you, to keep a safe distance when volunteering. So we need to really think about maybe different ways of doing that. But also we see opportunities in more combining with health activities. An example is, for example, the Albert Foundation in Czech Republic, in our brand Albert in Czech Republic. They organize a run each year, and with that run you can collect money for the Albert Foundation. And the last one, and I think that's a great one, is if you have team building activities, make it one with a good purpose. For example, help collectively in food banks, or hand out soup in the streets with your team, or organize a river cleanup, and it will bring great energy to the group and also a feeling of purpose. So these were like the practical examples of well-being, but I would also like to talk a bit more about the challenges around COVID-19 that we addressed. So when COVID-19 hit, it presented enormous challenges. I mean, not for only for us, I mean, for everyone, of course. But we had to keep our associates safe and healthy, but we also had to fulfill an important role in the society in the best possible way, because we needed to keep the stores open. And people, I don't know if you remember in the beginning, people were really hoarding stuff, and it was really difficult, not only in the stores, but also in the distribution centers, to keep up with that demand. So COVID also accelerated many trends, for example, online shopping and working from home, as I just said. And both trends we were observing and we were planning already over for the past a couple of years. And those preparations, but also the fact that we are a very caring company, it really helped us to respond quickly and had a lot of things in place. So if you look at the visual, you will see also the priority topics that were there. In the middle, you see the crisis management teams. We had global, regional, and local crisis management teams to support the business. And also there, and it was really, we could really make use of the network of brands where we could really help each other. That was really nice. So our brands have taken a number of actions to ensure safety of associates and customers, and also to support their communities. And globally, we invested more than 680 million euros to that, of which 21 million went to charitable donations. And also because of to support our customers best, and also because there were some new things and we needed some extra capacity, we created 45,000 new jobs. Another thing, and this is also from my benefits perspective, that was really good, is that we added some additional contributions to some pension plans that we had to make sure that also the future financial security of those plans was covered. So I would like to touch upon how we kept our associates safe during COVID-19. And the first priority was really to determine how our brands could keep associates safe and comfortable also coming to work despite all the risks. So I think we were one of the first in the industry to place some preventative measures, such as face masks and plexiglass screens at registers. But we also, increased sanitation, disinfection, and cleaning. And as you know, the cleaner the store was for customers, it's also more safe for the associates. Social distancing signs and vests were also everywhere. And in some locations, we did temperature screening. One of the things we did for office personnel that traveled quite a lot, we immediately made travel guidelines and restrictions, but we also told them, like, if you have to travel from a business perspective or from a personal perspective, then we made it possible for people to test, because in the beginning that was not that normal that you could easily have yourself tested. More examples is that especially for stores and distribution centers, we were able in some of our brands to get priority testing. So if someone tested positively in a store or in distribution center, we could get the team tested. An example that I really like is one of our brands, they provided bikes to their associates, so they didn't need to come with public transportation. And also what you saw a lot is that they were alternating teams in stores, but also in head offices. So you had an A and a B team that would never actually meet, and that was also more safe and in a way to continue business. So the next one is providing the right benefits. We relaxed absenteeism and flexible work policies. Because when people felt sick or had to stay home when quarantined, or they had children at home for school or daycare, we really had to make sure that we were there to provide that flexibility that we are very keen on. Also, brands made sure that there was a good communication and information about the pandemic, and there was access to medical staff for questions. For those that experience anxiety or stress about the situation, we had, of course, our mental support programs in place. And additional to that, we did a lot of effort in sharing information about mental resilience by doing webinars and sharing resources. So there was a continuous communication, and actually there still is a lot of information and Q&As and a lot of resources out there to help and support our teams. More examples, it's a lot of yoga, exercise, sleep better programs. Some of our brands provided vitamins and even milk for their associates, so they would receive a pack at home to keep them healthy. There were specific programs on managing stress, specific for the pandemic, and a lot of fit and healthy challenges, mainly for office staff. So supporting remote work, I don't think I need to tell you that because many people have experienced the same thing. Of course, flexibility was very important, but also for some brands it required a couple of technology adjustments. We implemented Microsoft collaboration tools that we just did some pilots, so that was we were really first in line to roll out. People that were still working on desktops, we provided laptops. A lot of tips and tricks about ergonomics, as I already showed you. Eating healthy, remaining fit. Well, I think this is something that you will probably very much recognize from your own organizations. Something that was in the beginning a little bit difficult because we didn't know what time we are looking at, but eventually people had that were working on kitchen tables, they had the opportunity to get some desks and chairs and monitors in most of our brands. And some brands, they provided budgets for people to buy that to buy it themselves. And in this shift to new ways of working, we also discovered that it definitely had some downsides, like onboarding new associates, as I already said, and physical health and lack of movement. Too much looking at the screen, people get eye problems. So there's really a lot of work still to do in this area to ensure that if this will continue, and I'm sure we will continue working from home because that's there to stay. That we also need to really keep in mind that we have an answer to that, and not for everything we already have an answer embedded. So last of this topic is some examples of how we rewarded and recognized associates. And if you look at the people, you can still see a beautiful smile on this photo, and it's nice. But today it's an old picture, I think, because today you wouldn't see that anymore because of the face mask. But yeah, each of the brands rewarded and recognized their associates in really their own way. But it existed of bonuses, pay increases, additional leave opportunities, lots of gifts and vouchers were shared. And certainly also very important, there were a lot of thank yous. I think every meeting that I attended starts with thank you for all you did to help us through these challenging times, and to really also help our customers, that you were there for them. So that was what we did for COVID, and I'm sure I forgot things, but it's like the most of the things that most of our brands did. So how we measure, actually, and I think it's important also to tell you that during COVID-19, we did a lot of pulse surveying. So in our brands, let's say every couple of weeks or months, we pulse, like, are we still in line with what you need from us? So we really like to understand what we could even do more for our associates. And also we have our annual engagement survey, and this is also how we measure the engagement, of course, of our associates. But as part of the annual engagement survey, we also ask them to rate, for example, questions like, my company supports me in living a healthy lifestyle, my company makes it easy for me to eat healthy foods, and I work in a safe environment. Those questions together, they form the Healthy Workplace Index, as you see on this screen. And together with some other questions, we have also the Associate Wellbeing Index, and that includes much more questions also related to those 10 components of well-being. For example, I'm able to balance my work and personal life. I'm given the opportunity to enhance my skills. And you see that if you look at the respondents, there were male, females, part-time, full-time. And altogether, this was the score of last year, of 2020. And we scored really well. And if you look at the fact that there was a pandemic year, it's actually very well. But we need to be mindful, because actually in times of crisis, people tend to score better on engagement. Apparently, that was also at 9/11, that was the case. But also what we need to think about is these are global scores. But if you really deep dive in the brands and in certain parts of the organization, you can see areas where there are still improvements to make. For example, the balancing work and life balance of managers and up, from working at home, seems to be having more challenge elements for them. And also, you know, how we people support on healthy food in several locations. So you can really use the engagement survey to deep dive and get more targeted approach, as I already talked about earlier. So that was the story I would like to tell, and I would like to hand over to Sharon to invite you all to join in on the conversation.
Super, thank you so much, Helen. And I was writing my notes on, I actually is the first time I heard around the high correlation between store performance and employee well-being. So that's really interesting for the business case towards well-being and the employee incentivization and rewards around healthy eating as well. So lots of tips and tricks. So just quickly in the couple of minutes we've left, there's a question around your healthy eating challenges. The 6-week program, if you could give a little bit more details. If we don't get to all of your questions now, I promise we will follow up by email. So could you give a little bit more detail around the mechanism behind it? We have another question on how do you manage the challenges? Is there a third party that help you with that platform that you mentioned? There's a question around leadership across the different brands and what do you do around leadership engagement? And we have a question around getting messages across to employees when you've got hesitancy to really get involved in what your brands are actually offering locally. So maybe if we start with the first one, we just have 2 minutes left, but I promise for the others we will get back to you by email. So the healthy eating challenge.
Yeah, well, can you repeat the question, please?
Yep. So can you share a bit more? How does it work? What's the mechanism behind it on the 6-week challenge on healthy eating?
Yeah, there was a challenge that was done at our global support office, and we did that through our collaboration side. We actually split the challenge in 3 weeks, and I have to think about the program. The first 2 weeks was about, we used our purpose really to do it. So the first 2 weeks was about eat well. And Eat Well was about everything about healthy food. So we invited one of the nutritionists of Giant Food. They did a webinar in this week that people that would join the challenge could register for. We did also sharing. We asked everyone that participated in the challenge to share their healthiest lunch or a breakfast recipe with each other. Every day we would receive facts on how healthy food is important for your brain, or how healthy food can how you can manage your energy levels with food. So these are examples of fun facts that we did. And at the end of the 2 weeks, there was a new challenge starting, but you could do it with the same people. But actually, every 2 weeks there were more people joining or people leaving some challenges. And each of the challenge you would have a winner, and the winner would be, for example, the person that had the most engagement on the channel for sharing their stories, because you could see people sharing one breakfast recipe, but there were also people out there that were going really crazy with sharing everything and taking pictures of the plates that they were making. So it was really about getting people engaged on the topic. The second one was about saving time. No, about sweat time, because we changed it into an exercise. And it was about walking. People would have to make a pledge about what they would do to increase their movement. And one of the people that also pledged was our CEO. So that was really fun. And at the end, it was also about sharing experience, who did the most, and you had to do at least commit to your pledge and to have an engagement to the collaboration. And the last one was about live better, and that was really funny. And I have an example, and I can share it with you also later. It's looked like this, and it's a bingo card. And the bingo card, and I have to admit I didn't cross everything, but it's about give yourself 10 minutes to read, treat yourself, call someone you love, listen to your favorite music, do something kind for a stranger. And they could cross off all those things and share also on the collaboration how you did that. So that is in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. And we've come up to the end of time already. Yeah, it just went. So thank you for sharing so much information. And I've popped our email in the chat box for everyone. I have the names of the people with the remaining questions. So big thank you to everyone who's with us live. For anyone who's listening later, don't hesitate to reach out, whether directly with me at hw@theconsumergoodsforum.com, and I'll make sure that we get the question to Helen. Helen, a big thank you for sharing that, all the challenges and opportunities, and we will follow up with all of you who had questions. So thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe and well, and we will connect next month for our April Wellbeing series. So hopefully we'll all be able to join us on the 28th of April. Thanks again, Helen. Take care.
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks for the opportunity. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.